Hello everyone, welcome back. So in this video we're going to be looking at arrays in Java. Okay, so this can go on a bit, but I'll try and keep the video as short as I can. So before we start, let's have a look at what are arrays and why we need them basically. So far we've looked at, in our programs, making integers. So I'll try and do this with my mouse pad, sorry if it's a little bit messy. So we create an int and maybe I'll call it num, and I'll just make that equal to 2. Okay, and then obviously you have the semicolon at the bottom. So this is great, and it will allow us to store one number, but it won't allow us to store any more than one number. We can replace that number with another number quite easily in our program. That's not a problem, but it still only holds one number. Okay, so if we want to store more than one value in a variable, we can't, because it only stores one value. Okay, so arrays help us with this problem. Okay, so what this will do, we could create an array and call it, and when we actually write the code, I'll show you how we declare the array. But we write, not that, we would write num, or let's call it nums, because we're going to store several of them. And then inside of the array, then we can actually hold several numbers. So we might have 1 and 7 and 3 and so on. All right, so now we have something set up that can hold multiple data types. Sorry, not multiple values of the same data type. Okay, so we can't put a string in the middle of there, and we'll look at that later on in the video. So let's get started. So I've already set a project up, and I've imported the arrays. Actually, let me take that out because we won't need it for this video. We'll look at that in a later video. We'll just look at setting them up and some things we can do with them. Okay, so to set up a variable, in the past we give it the data type, and then we might give it a name like num, and then make it equal to a value, and that's fine. And as I said before, we can only hold one value in that, and that's very useful, but sometimes we need to hold more than one value, so we need something else. So to set up an array of type integer, I just say int, and then to tell Java that I want to create an array, I just open and close these square brackets. Okay, and then I give the array a name. I'm going to call it nums, and I make it equal to a new, whatever the data type is. In this case, it's integer. And then in square brackets again, I'm going to say how many things I want to fit in that array. Actually, I'll go longer than that. I'll go 3. So I want to fit 3 things inside of this array. Okay, so that is my array declared and set up, and I can put 3 different integers in there now. So if I want to put something in there, actually, let's take it back. If I want to output a position from this array, if I say, and I just say nums and give the position. Now remember, the first position in an array is always 0. So if I print out position 0, and then I'm just going to copy and paste this, and I'm going to copy, and I'm just going to, we know we've got 3 positions, and I'm going to print out all 3 positions here. So we'll go position 1 and position 2. Okay, now if I run this, you'll see that Java automatically fills them up with zeros. Okay, now an array is what is known as a static, it is what is known as static, which means you can't make it any longer than 3 once you've created it as the length of 3, and you can't make it any shorter. Okay, but we can change the values inside of those. So for example, now if I was to say nums at position 0 and make it equal to 45, and then let's just run that, and you can see it's changed to 45. Okay, so I printed it out to show that it was 0, and then I've changed it, and then I printed out the position 0 again, and it's 45. Okay, so that is declaring an array. So this part here is declaring the array, and this part underneath is assigning values one position at a time within an array. And then, sorry, that is not, that is showing that is showing the value that is in each position one at a time in an array. This is setting a value one position at a time at array, and then again I'm showing the value that is in that position one at a time. Now we can, when we are creating and initializing the array like this, we can put all of the values in that we want if that's what we need. So let's have a look at doing that. So let's call it, we'll keep it as an integer, and open close brackets, think of a name, let's call it just call it numbers. I can't think of anything better. And then let's make it equal to new int. Oh, sorry, not make it equal to new int. We'll make it equal to, and then we open curly braces, and then we put our numbers inside. Okay, just like that. And that is our array with these values inside. Now, I just want to go back to what I was saying earlier on when I said that they have to be the same data type. Now, this isn't the case in all programming languages. Python, for example, will let you mix data types in arrays, or what Python call lists, but Java does not. And you can see there I'm getting an error straight away because I've put a string inside of an array that is classed as an integer. Okay, so we can't do that in Python. We need to keep it all the same. So I just want to now have a look at how we can run through this array, or iterate through the array, or traverse the array and print out every value in this array at once. So we can do this using a for loop. So the rules for for loops still apply to when we did the video on that. So for, and then I'm going to put the condition inside of the brackets. So int, let's call it I, is equal to 0, and then semicolon. And I'm going to do it until I'm going to do it while, I is less than numbers dot length. Okay, so this dot length command here is basically it's how you return the number or the length of a list as an integer value. Okay, so if I say numbers.length, it will run through until it gets to the end. Now notice I have said while it's less than. Okay, I don't want it equal to, because if I put it equal to, I'm going to run out of space in the array and get an error. And then I'm going to count up I++, and then I'm going to, in curly braces, going to say what I want my loop to do. Now all I want it to do is, and we're not going to print out nums at position 0, 1, because my list isn't called nums, it's called numbers. And I'm going to print it out at position I. Okay, so whatever I is at, I'm going to print out what is at that position. So now if I run through this, you can see 23, 44, 12, 56, 33, which is the last element in my array, and then it stops. Okay, and I think I will leave this one here for now. There's not that much more to talk about in terms of one-dimensional arrays. Please have a go at writing the code and setting it up both ways, where we're given the values when we're declaring it, and declaring the values and adding declaring the array and then adding the values after, because it's really important. You will need this for your exam, and we need to get used to typing it. All right, I'll see you in the next one, where we go on and look at two-dimensional arrays.